Welcome back. In this lecture, we are going to understand about the Terraform variables concept named local values. So before understanding about local values, we also need to understand about a dry principle. Dry principle is nothing but in every programming language, if you really don't want to repeat your code, so you will be applying the dry principle concepts. Okay, so dry principle is nothing but don't repeat yourself. Okay, so if you want to read more about it from specific language perspective, you can Google for dry principle, and for software design principles, dry and kiss. So like this you can read all these things. Okay, so in many ways, but for us in Terraform, how we are going to use dry principle is the core thing here. Okay, so using local values you are going to implement the dry principle here, which means using local values you will be able to reduce the repetition of your code or complex code expressions into simple names, and then use those simple names in places where it is required. So let's understand on a high level what is local values. So a local value assigns a name to an expression, so you can use that name multiple times within a module without repeating it. So you have a complex expression and that expression provides a value for you. Okay, so that you assign it to a name, simple name, and using that name you can replace that entire complex expression in the entire code with this simple name, whatever you have defined from the local name. So local values are like a function's temporary local variables in standard programming language. So you can define locals like this. Okay, so locals service underscore name is equal to forum, and then owner is equal to community team, something like this. Okay, so these two are the values inside. So now once a local value is declared, you can reference it in expressions as local dot name. So you have a locals, one more locals you have defined with the common underscore tags. So in this, inside this common underscore tags, service is equal to local dot service name, and owner is equal to local dot owner. So you have defined this. So now these locals you can go ahead and then define in your respective resource. Okay, so now if you see in the AWS instance tags, you can say local dot common tags you have referenced. Okay, which means local dot common tags will reference to these values, and these values will reference to these values. So like this, whatever the complexity is there, you can minimize and then give it a simple name here instead of writing a big names here. So we'll see in the next slide about more complexity, how it simplifies with our demo example. Okay, so local values can be helpful to avoid repeating the same values or expressions multiple times in a configuration. Okay, and if overused, if these local values are overused, they can also make a configuration hard to read by future maintainers by hiding the actual values we used. So if your code base is heavy, then if we start using local values more and more, it also might create hard for us to read the code. So the ability to easily change the value in a central place is the key advantage of local values. So if local dot common tags is present in 100 different places in your current code, so that value can be changed at only one place now, which is here. Okay, or here. If you want to add one more tag here, just add one more, define one tag here and then add one tag here, and it will be replaced in 100 plus instances wherever it is. Okay, so the main advantage of locals is that one. And finally, in short, use local values in moderation. So unless required, don't use it in a simple terms. So now this is the example we are going to implement. So we are going to create a S3 bucket. For the bucket name and the tags also, you want to give some complex expression value. So if you see in the bucket name, we are going to have the app name hyphen environment name. So we are going to define two variables for us. So one is app name and the another one is environment name, and then hyphen bucket. So this becomes my bucket name. So this is the biggest line which you need to place in. This is simple S3 bucket, but in multiple places if you want to replace this complex expression, right? So then you need to put at every place this entire big value. If you define it as a local, so you just say local dot bucket name, that's all. So complex expression simplified to use in many places with just local dot bucket name. So you used the bucket name here, and also in tags also used name is equal to local dot bucket name. So instead of using these complex big expressions, you can change it to simple like this. So now if you want to change the bucket naming convention with hyphen something else, okay, here hyphen ABCD. So now you can make only change at this place and at here at the bucket and also at the name, automatically it takes care, right? So the concept here, whatever we said, the ability to easily change the value in a central place is the key advantage of local values. So that satisfies with this approach. Okay, so in our next lecture, let's go ahead and then practically implement local values. So I'll see you in the next lecture. Until then, bye bye. Thank you.